The Arctic winds whip at your cloak, nearly knocking your hood back as you finally reach the top of the rocky cliff. The rest of your party is clinging to the vertical surface below you with numb, frozen fingertips, desperately gripping the jagged stones. Just as you roll up onto the flat surface, feeling the burning in your muscles and lungs from the brutal climb, the rope around your waist pulls tight. There's a scream from below, and you're jerked back, getting dragged towards the ledge and the vertical mile of empty air beyond it. Someone is falling. Someone heavy. It's a scramble for only a moment as your reflexes kick into high gear. A small outcropping gives you somewhere to brace your foot. The climbing axe in your hand is able to find purchase on the frozen ground. The arcane focus around your neck glows as you cast enlarge upon yourself, and your new weight anchors you in place. But the rope you're wearing around your waist grows suddenly too, and the knot slips. If you move at all, you'll fly off the edge. If you do nothing, your entire party will fall to their deaths. The teeth in your mouth creak from the clenching of your jaw. It's an impossible decision to make, and if you wait any longer, gravity will make it for you. But then there's a yell from behind you. A deep, resonating response is shouted in a language you don't understand, and then large, rapid footfalls fill the air like the rumble of a landslide. The sounds of bare feet on stone rush toward you and then past you. 3 gigantic shapes all leap blindly off the lip of the mountain and plummet toward the crisis below. There was a glimpse of tall, muscular gray flesh, covered more by tribal tattoos than by furry loincloths around their waists. You saw large, rough hands gripping onto coarse woven rope. Long, jet-black hair, tied back with simple strips of rawhide, flowed wildly in the frigid gust of air as they whooped and hollered their way off the cliff. The ropes trailing after them suddenly pull taut, and there is a strained grunt from a few feet behind you. When you crane your head to look, 4 hulking forms are straining with the ropes, digging their heels in, playing a deadly game of tug-of-war with the weight of their companions. The rope around your hips suddenly goes slack, and cheers of relieved disbelief ride the updraft to your ears. The largest of the muscle-bound behemoths starts pulling the ropes back up, and the others follow suit. She looks at you and grunts in common. "We almost didn't make it in time, little one. Our diviners were waiting for you in the goat path and did not foresee your decision to explore Dead Man's Drop." Before you catch your breath, a deep voice echoes up from the cliff face. "Tonight you'll join our fire festival, and watch as my team dominates the others in the Goat Ball Championship. Do not look afraid, little man. Rest easy in the warm hospitality of your new Goliath friends."
Welcome to another species episode of the It's a Mimic podcast, where you never know what you're gonna get.
Hello, I'm Adam, and with me, as always, is Megan, and today we are joined by Dave for this episode called Goliaths by and Large.
This episode covers all the things about Goliaths from the 2024 Player's Handbook that you might need to know.
Hi, Dave.
Hello.
Just needed to get your voice in somewhere on this episode, too.
Here I am.
Yeah, all right. All right, before we do anything else, let's jump into some themes and lore. And while you might think that this is going to be very short because there's nothing in the Player's Handbook, well, I've actually got some things to say. Surprise, surprise.
I'm not surprised at all.
I, for one, am shocked.
Thank you, Dave.
I shook it. Absolutely shook it.
Yeah. Rocked to the core.
To the core.
I get rocked with Goliaths. Okay, so the single most important thing to know about these humanoids is that they're big, which is why they're named after the famous giant from the Bible. That's the thing.
That's why I'm on this episode, because we're going to tackle these guys.
But just don't laugh at him. It encourages his shit.
I haven't done a recording with Dave in a long time.
You're welcome. Yeah. I did that for you. But when it comes to information on Goliaths, there's less and less to go on with every book. So in the past, Goliaths were, as I described in the intro, they're tall, muscular, gray-skinned humanoids with black hair or bald heads, tribal tattoos, and fur-lined clothing. They were usually depicted as being in the middle of some physical activity, oftentimes raging like a barbarian or wielding a massive axe. You were expected to play them as strong, cunning, but uneducated, rangers and barbarians, rogues, fighters, and sometimes even druids, living in isolation and being self-sufficient. Now, however, they can have all sorts of colorizations, including blue skin with white hair, yellow skin with bronze hair, purple skin with blue hair, and all manner of gray skin. I think this is meant to reflect the different giants that you can trace your lineage back to, but purple says Fomorian to me when we're talking giants and not any of the base 6.
Yeah.
And I can't really find a yellow giant anywhere. Megan, you're the expert. Are there yellow giants?
Only if you have a hill giant that has jaundice.
They at least have scurvy.
It's something along those lines.
Yeah.
Like, it's possible.
Anyway, I think this has less to do with the kind of design logic, which we're going to talk about later, about them tying into their lineages, and just more to do with the fact that they're embracing the kind of like new tiefling mentality, which is make them look like anything, but don't make them look like anyone from the real world. And with the emphasis on tribal living from previous editions and Wizards of the Coast's recent track record, it makes a certain amount of sense that they'd want to lean into the fantastical and avoid the controversy. So, honestly, it doesn't bug me. I just thought it was an interesting evolution of design to see the colorations change. Although they're still lifting heavy things.
Of course.
That has not changed.
No, they're big, they're tall, they lift.
They lift, yeah.
It equals lifting.
Do you even lift, bro? So, when it comes to lore, there isn't much. Goliaths are all about giant lineages and being big and strong. And they don't really seem to care about the ordning or other giant politics or squabbles. They have some unique powers based on the giant blood that flows through their veins. That's it. That's what we get for 5.5.
Yep.
If we go back to Monsters of the Multiverse, which is technically still considered canon, we get one more paragraph for Goliath lore with essentially 2 new pieces of info. The first is, giants live in the highest mountain peaks above where vegetation grows. And the second is, their skin resembles different types of stone. Clearly, that second fact has been overwritten now, and there's no mention of a preferred habitat. It seems to me that you have to have a basic understanding about what's canon and what isn't now. For example, all the traits from Monsters of the Multiverse are replaced by the new 2024 PHB, so even though it's backwards compatible, you can't use that. But Icewind Dale, along with all of the adventure books, are they're still considered canon. In that adventure, there's a whole part of the book devoted to a Goliath society that lines up with the mountainous, wintry vibe. The barbarian space between stone giants and frost giants that Goliaths seem to thrive in is very, very present there. But now, because there's a lack of info, we can treat Goliaths like we're supposed to treat drow. Some of them live under these circumstances, and they may have this reputation, but the lore isn't committed to anything, so anything goes. In Bigby Presents Glory of the Giants, we get some more lore with the stat block for Goliath Giantkin, which you guys just covered in the Giant Season 3, right, Megan?
Yeah.
And again, it's supposed to be canon, and it makes some broad statements, but nothing in the new Player's Handbook really supports some of the claims. For example, it says that some Goliaths have close relationships with giants, and are often accepted as liaisons between the giant society that they live with and emulate and the humanoids in surrounding regions. It also says that they're as strong as ogres, but this natural boost to strength has been abandoned because stat increases are linked to backgrounds now. The only other lore is that even though they don't care about the Allfather of the giants' gods and any of his sons, they do worship the women of the giants' pantheon.
Yeah.
So when we look all the way back to the Elemental Evil Player's Companion, which was the free PDF for players that came out in tandem with Princes of the Apocalypse, we get a couple more nuggets. And again, it's still technically in canon because it's all backwards compatible, quote unquote. Mm-hmm. Here's what we get there. Not many people have ever seen a Goliath, and even fewer have befriended one. They wander the bleak Arctic realms, they struggle for resources in their surroundings, and so there's a sense of competition. They're always looking to prove themselves to their tribes and to keep score with everything. Surviving a defeat means that they just need to get good and be better. Their biggest competitors, though, are themselves, and the more heroic acts they accomplish, the more foolhardy they become. They'd much rather die in battle, and as a result of action, than die quietly and peacefully at home. We learn that they don't care for magic items or wealth, and prefer even tests of metal over any other kind of competition. But they don't particularly have any time for the system of governance outside of a meritocracy, where only the best and more capable should lead. Not being able to carry your own weight might lead to expulsion from the clan, as you become a drain on precious resources. Laziness and incompetence are a quick path to being exiled, and injury and illness will be treated until a Goliath is healthy again, because that's only fair. Again, there's a bunch of stats, but they're all obsolete now. There are, however, some naming conventions which are neat and flavorful, and is just about the only thing that I would go looking for in that book. Elemental Evil Player's Companion can be found on Drive-Thru-RPG, not on D&D Beyond. Wizards of the Coast doesn't have the legal right to distribute it because they agreed to use Drive-Thru-RPG to spread some PDFs before they bought D&D Beyond. And due to the original contract with Drive-Thru-RPG, they'll never host this on their own site. But I also don't think they give a shit anymore because it's previous edition. For those of you who are curious about Goliaths in the multiverse, remember that the Player's Handbook has the neutral stock Goliaths that are ingrained in society, an active part of the world, and can be found in all sorts of regions. Any lore from Monsters of the Multiverse is technically true across all campaigns because they are campaign neutral. Glory of the Giants is presented by Bigby, and he's from Greyhawk. So that's the extra Greyhawk info you need, and you can ignore anything from the Elemental Evil Player's Companion. It's just the stock stuff from the Player's Handbook, Monsters of the Multiverse, plus anything you find in Glory of the Giants. Because Princes of the Apocalypse takes place in the Forgotten Realms, that's technically Forgotten Realms only lore, and you can ignore Glory of the Giants stuff. But none of that is stated anywhere. So this is just me applying logic based on how Wizards of the Coast is treating the multiverse these days. And remember, Spelljammer and Planescape are part of the multiverse now, so Goliaths can be anywhere in these campaign settings and with any lore you'd like. And just because Goliaths aren't in recent Dragonlance, Eberron, or Magic the Gathering settings doesn't mean they can't show up there.
No, we've always been good about incorporating other species across.
Yeah,
of course.
I mean, why not? If you're going to play in a multiverse, you might as well have people in the multiverse, right?
And having them play what they want to play, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. Okay, so in the PHB, in the new PHB, the Goliath section here, I was a little surprised at how small it is.
They're all small in species.
No, I know, but like I get one page and a third of it is a picture,
Yeah.
All right, and like it seems like there's not a lot there. Essentially, they're humanoids, okay? They're medium-sized, but they are kind of pushing that a little bit. They're 7-8 feet tall kind of thing.
Yeah.
They're not going to blend into a crowd. They are going to be taller than most people around them, right?
Yes.
But one of the other neat things about them is because they are tall, I think, you get a little bit extra speed. They do 35 feet, right? Long legs.
I like that. That's new. So instead of punishing short characters for being and making them slow, they brought them up to 30 and are giving the big guys more speed.
Yeah, I kind of like that. Because it says right in the book, the smallest you're going to get is about 7 feet. So these guys are going to be, built but lanky.
Yeah, Casey and I talk about it in the Giants episodes a lot in terms of most Giants have a 40-foot speed naturally.
Yeah.
And it's not because they're faster. It's because their stride is longer and they're larger.
Yeah, I've tried to walk beside Steve. I know how this goes.
Absolutely not. His legs are up to my shoulders.
Yeah.
Well, one of the abilities they have is called large form, which once a day.
Mine too, yeah.
Once a day, please.
It's me on Saturday.
Starting at level 5, once a day, you can use a bonus action to enlarge. It's not reduce enlarge. It's just large.
Yeah.
Right. It's not the spell. It's an ability. Right. This lasts for about 10 minutes or until you don't want it anymore. This also increases your speed by 10 feet while you are large, and you get advantage on strength checks.
Sure.
Right? It's kind of a neat one. Another ability that the Goliaths get is Powerful Build. You get advantage on saving throws to end a grapple. Now, it's specifically to end the grapple, not advantage when you're grappling.
Okay.
Okay? And you count as one size category larger for your carrying capacity, right?
It's interesting because all of this shit, them getting bigger, and the enlarge reduce spell, none of it mentions weight anymore.
No, it's not anywhere here.
No, we've abandoned the encumbrance, and it still technically exists now, but any idea of are you too heavy for this bridge is out the window.
Well, one of the things,
common sense.
One of the big differences between previous Goliaths and these Goliaths is that they were always kind of intended to be stone-like and big and heavy and dense and muscular, but that's not really the case anymore. And this is kind of where the meat and potatoes of Goliaths are in the new edition, right? They're more linked to the different kinds of giants in their past.
Sure.
Okay, so their physical characteristics are going to kind of embody that as well. So, ones that come from like a frost giant background are going to kind of be a little more blue. Ones that are stone giant background are going to be a little more stone-like, your kind of traditional side of things. But they've got an ability that's tied right into this. This is their giant ancestry. So you're going to pick this kind of right away at level 1, and this is...
you don't get to change this throughout the campaign?
No. This is
a one-off.
Set
and forget it.
All right.
And this, I was kind of going through them and I thought, wow, these are really powerful. But when you look, this is what you get.
This is it.
This is it, right?
Yeah.
So, like I said, you get it kind of from your ancestry, right? You've got the first ability here, Cloud's Jaunt, clearly Cloud Giant. As a bonus action, you get to move 30 feet to an unoccupied space you can see.
You teleport.
Yeah, as a bonus action.
Yeah, that's a Cloud Giant thing.
Yeah, this isn't once per long rest, nothing like that. This is just you get this. I'm sorry, I'm wrong. You get them equal to your proficiency bonus, and you gain them all back at the end of a long rest.
All right, yeah.
All right, so you not bad.
Yeah, you have to do it more and more as you grow up.
For the fire giants, you get Fire's Burn. When you hit a target with an attack roll and deal damage to it, specifically, you get to do an extra 1d10 fire damage.
What's interesting here is that it's specifically an attack roll and not a magic roll. So if you cast a spell and do damage, this doesn't stack. It's physical only.
Yeah. For our frost giants, we've got Frost Chill. When you hit a target with an attack roll and deal damage to it, you deal 1d6 cold damage, and you reduce their speed by 10 feet till the start of your next turn.
You're going to put that with like Sentinel and mobile feats, and you're going to get fucky.
We see it a lot in the Big B's Giants book too, with Frost Giants.
Yeah.
Like that ability is very common now.
Well, it's nice to have that little bit of control, right?
Yeah.
For our hill giant, when you hit a large or smaller creature with an attack roll and deal damage, you can knock it prone. That's it. But I really like that. That's.
There's a lot of stuff in here, like slowing them down and knocking them prone, which you will also get from the weapon masteries as well. So this is kind of you getting a shortcut to the weapon masteries.
We also enjoyed in the new Giants book, anytime you get hit by a rock by a giant, you get knocked prone. Like literally every single time. And so I found that really funny. I find the visual of you just getting like pelted in the head by a rock, but it comes from the hand of a giant.
Just biffed it.
Yeah. Boom. Yeah. It just makes sense. Like,
and everybody else is looking around to see where it came from, and then suddenly, boom, and someone else goes down.
Correct.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Speaking of rocks and giants,
Yay.
The stone giant ability here, Stone's Endurance. When you take damage, you can take a reaction to roll 1d12, add your con modifier to it, and reduce the damage taken by that much.
Yeah.
That's fucking impressive.
That's pretty good, especially when you start getting it at higher levels and you can start doing this 5-6 times a day.
And I mean, if you're a Goliath, you're probably something beefy, so you're going to have at least a +3, right? So, to your con modifier, right? And the average is going to be, 6.5 on a d12. So you're reducing it by probably on average 11 points of damage.
It's pretty good. Like that's one of the better ones here, I think. And then the only other one we have here is the Storm Giant, Storm's Thunder. When you take damage from a creature within 60 feet, you can take a reaction to deal 1d8 thunder damage to that creature. There's no to hit, it just takes the 1d8 damage.
Yeah.
How do you flavor that? Because it's thunder damage, so it's only sound. Like, is it just a bellow? Like, they hit you and the sound of thunder crackles through the air? Like what is the...
I mean, you could just, you yell in pain in their direction, Ah, motherfucker! Right? If you can vicious mockery, smack someone to death.
Yeah.
You can yell them to death too.
Sure, okay.
Right. But I mean, that's really all we get for Goliaths in here. There isn't much else to it.
Okay.
Well, I mean, if we compare it to basically what we used to have in 2014, the major differences are that obviously in the original they only had the 30-foot speed, so we're seeing that 35-foot speed increase because of the reasons that we basically just stated.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're humanoid, they're larger creatures, 7-8 feet or what have you. And then in of course, the original, they gained their proficiency in athletics because that's where you gained it.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But you do count as one size larger in terms of how much you can push or lift. So it's not you gain or shrink size the way it is now in 2024. It was just you counted as the extra large size.
They weren't the only ones that did that. Furbolgs do that all the fucking time, as Dan reminds me, every 20 minutes. So
Yeah, absolutely. And then the added one, and then so they do have Mountain Born, which is the concept of, again, similar to the Stone Giants one, I believe, where they can endure more damage. So similar thing where as a reaction, if they're hit with damage, they can use a d12 plus their con Mountain mod to minus that damage total by using their like mountainous strength. On top of that, they can do high altitudes of upwards of 20,000 feet just from being from the mountains. So those are just built into their kit without any kind of giant connection in the original. And then there's no such thing as the giant ancestries in 2014.
Well, I think they were sharing, traditionally speaking, they're in mountains with stone giants, right? Like,
Yeah.
So it makes sense that that would be
The one that they lean into.
Yeah.
But I like in the 2024 edition that we're leaning into multiple options in their ancestry. They're not always going to be a hill giant. They're not always going to be from one or the other, right?
I'm excited to see other versions of them from some of the other giants out there. Like, it'd be cool to have versions based off death giants or off of Fomorians, right? Or other
giants kin.
Trolls, right?
Yeah.
Like it'd be cool to see that. Maybe in expanded stuff, but like it's neat in the player's handbook that they went this direction.
Yeah.
Instead of having a whole bunch of different lineages, right? So they just had this ancestry list instead, right?
Yeah, me being the person that comes from a giant's love, I like the fact that this was added in here because I like that customization to it. And if I'm going to play a giants game, because I've always wanted to play a game where everybody plays a giant, and now I'm like, oh, I can now actually just do that rules as written with Goliaths, technically.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to homebrew why they may be connected to a storm giant and give them a storm giant ability. I now have it rules as written, which I enjoy.
I'm trying to remember. You remember I played a Goliath Ocello,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you and I were running around. I was carrying you around. You were a gnome?
Probably.
Yeah.
Was this the Christmas special that we did?
No. Someone, I don't remember. Was it Dan that was running a one-shot? We were taking a little hiatus from the main campaign.
Yeah.
But I think Dan was running a one-shot. And I had the ability, I think I had a magic item that let me like jump up that one size.
Yeah.
And stomp across a battlefield. And it felt really fucking good.
Yeah.
Right. So seeing that just come stock with Goliaths really makes me happy.
It's cool.
Yeah.
I really like it.
I'm a fan of that.
Yeah.
Let's grab dice. I have some questions.
Okay.
14.
10.
3. Okay, cool. So, Dave,
Yeah.
do you like Goliaths as a player?
Yes. I tend to gravitate towards bashy, fighty characters rather than spellcasters, and these guys fit that bill. I like the idea of the different flavors, picking your different kind of giant, and getting the ability tied in with that. I like that. I think it makes these more appealing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
I mean, I've never actually played one as a player. I tend to play small characters because I like being small.
Yeah. You want to be picked up by a Goliath.
I
It's different.
like Goliath in my game.
Glad you said game.
Yeah. Heyo. I mean, it could really mean anything at that point.
Right?
Let's
Yeah.
be real. But yeah, no, I really
Dave's
like.
uncomfortable because he hasn't listened to the Giants series.
It's true.
Yeah. There's a lot of loincloth in that series.
Yeah, we talk about loincloths a lot.
I believe it.
Which these folks do have, so fantastic and good for me. But no, as I mentioned, I like the customization to it, and I would probably not play a Goliath, but I would definitely have them in my game and like enjoy it if somebody else at the table was playing one.
I think I would probably play one if I was going to do a monk for a one-shot, because I really like the idea of getting that extra movement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk to me more about getting more extra movement as a monk.
Fuck. Fuck. For me, I love Goliaths. When it comes to the big, fighty, different, like, playable species, they're my preferred. I'm going to take a Goliath over a Furbolg or an Orc or anything else any day of the week. Even a Warforged, I'll pick a Goliath.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I just like them. I was talking to Mieko last night about the best. She was asking me, what's your favorite NPC that you've ever run? It's impossible for me to choose. There's been so many. But in my top, like, 10%, Daystrider, who recently just was murdered in our campaign.
Well,
Spoiler alert!
hey man, you didn't show up.
Yeah. Yeah, he got hit with a blood plague. All Goliaths are dead in our campaign setting. So,
Thanks,
I was sad to see.
Was it Dan's fault?
No, I
not this
rolled
time?
for that before the session started and was like, oh, this will be traumatizing. Yay. And so here we are.
It was Dan's fault.
Sure, yeah, we'll blame Dan.
We'll blame Dan.
But no, I freaking love Goliaths. For some reason, I've got a soft spot in my heart for him. So,
Yeah.
You killed them all.
Of course you would be sad.
yep, got to kill your darlings. That's part of how this works. So, Dave, do you have a role-playing hint for players that want to play Goliaths?
I mean, I'm just going to hit this point again. Lean into the fact that they've given you all of these different giants to play with. This is not just a one-dimensional, these are stony creatures. Like, that's what I would focus on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially because, like, as we mentioned, or the original Goliaths from 2014 lean heavily into hill giants, which most folks... Stone giants. Yeah. Which tend to be at the bottom of the ordning, bottom of the totem pole-ish, like, above hill giants, but whatever.
Hill giants are just essentially like sacks of flesh.
Yeah, but even stats-wise, they have the low intelligence and like you don't get into the high intelligence, high charisma until you get higher up in the ordning. Yeah. So people automatically think to play them as dumb. They're not dumb. And you don't have to play them that way. Like,
I think that people would naturally tank intelligence as your dump stat when you're building a Goliath.
But especially if you're going to choose one of these ancestral backgrounds of being from a storm giant or from a cloud giant, you would have a little bit more, like, I feel like you would want to roleplay that in more of the aspect of your ancestry.
Even fire giants are strategists and they run forges and stuff. Like, they're not fee-fi-fo dumb, right?
Even stone giants are artists. They craft things. Yeah. Right? Like, so, anyway, I guess just because of my giant knowledge, I just feel like you would want to lean more into that aspect. Less, I'm just playing a big dumb Goliath.
My big note for everyone is, because there's really nothing about personality or society or anything else now. Yeah. So, in the past, you would have these competitions out in the wilderness. You would be... like cunning and crafty, not necessarily book smart, right? Yeah. But I always ran them with a simple kind of honor. Yeah. They're about fair play. And I know now the way that they've broken it all down, that tends to be Forgotten Realms only. And you can play a Goliath as evil or chaotic or whatever. But I've always played them as having a code and an honor and a way that they will hold themselves when they're in like mixed company and whatnot. They're there to be impressive, and that's based on their own standards, not on other people's standards. Yeah. So, like, they owe it to themselves to be the best version of themselves. That's a lot of fun to play with, and that's not something that has ever necessarily been hard-baked into any of the other species that we've had across all of 5th edition, right? Like, this was the one that had that, and my hint is, don't give up on that concept. Yeah. Or even if that's not the character you want to play, maybe you have your clan. The reason you're not with your clan anymore, the reason you're out adventuring, is because you do have a different perspective, and honor only goes so far for you. Maybe it's, I needed to do the greater good for chaotic good, or maybe sometimes motherfuckers just need to die, right? Yeah. And so,
truth.
So, like, I would have that honor baked into at least the backstory, if not the personality.
Yeah, because even if you were to be raised around other Goliaths who are aware of the fact that they're at the bottom of the ordning in terms of being like giant kin, that they have in their societies a natural baked in their own ordning. Yeah. So they would definitely have that baked into their society of something, especially if you were raised around other Goliaths. Like,
well, yeah, it's funny because it says in the lore, and again, this is Forgotten Realms only. Yeah. It says in the lore that they don't particularly give a shit about the ordning or any of the, like, politics. Yeah. And that's fine, but they still have politics within their own society.
They know what ordning is, and they know what organized society can do.
And when they are with other giants and they start to emulate them, they will fall into that kind of mindset as well, right? Yeah. So, Dave, do the mechanics offer any tips toward the combat tactics of Goliaths?
Not really.
Yeah.
Like, I would, you get big, you can end a grapple. You get advantage to end grapples, and then you get your type bonus. Yeah. Right? That's it.
Yeah. I feel like you could really do anything with that. You're not kind of, like, pigeonholed into, like, in my mind, if you were to play a Goliath rules as written previous, you're like, oh, I'm going to be a fighter. Like, hard stop, right? Well, or I'm going to be a barbarian. Like, you're going to pick those more martial classes. I feel like this offers you a lot more options to do something else with your Goliath.
I would say, at first glance, it looks like you're supposed to be in melee. Because there's a couple of things that are your attack action as opposed to a magic
action. There's some, like battlefield manipulation. Yeah.
The increased movement tends to be fighting. Yeah. And the powerful build, right, having advantage to get out of the grapple means that you're likely to get grappled. And all of this leans into the fact that you should be, nose to nose with the enemy getting into the fight.
It feels monkey.
It does. It also feels barbarian. Like, these guys, I like them for rangers in a lot of ways. But there's no reason that you couldn't be a spellcaster that's also good at breaking a grapple. Like, can just get big in the battlefield and scare everybody, and then...
Yeah.
Right? Like...
Their defense mechanism is their size, but they are soft and squishy.
Well, it makes sense to have the guys in the back line carrying all the heavy stuff, right?
Yeah.
Does it? That's normally where I put the squishies.
No, carrying the heavy stuff, like carrying capacity heavy stuff.
Sure, but I mean, like, again, we don't really play with encumbrance anymore.
No, that's true.
No one does that. No. That's stupid.
Is there a stereotype about Goliaths that you would embrace or avoid?
I like Megan said, I'd avoid being dumb. They're not dumb, right? They can have stupid tendencies if you go with the hill giant side of things, fine, but,
Sure.
show them some respect,
But I would 100% lean to the fact that you are a large-ish creature in terms of like entering, especially in a role-playing aspect, entering into a space that's not built for you. Mm-hmm. Like the chairs are too small, the tables are too short, the cups that have your beer in it are just... It's like taking a shot as opposed to actually getting a large cold beer. Like, I would definitely lean into that aspect because that's the reality of being a larger creature in a space that's not built for you. And I would find that fun to play and fun to role play out, right? And then, of course, if you end up in a space that is built for you, it's very exciting. So so it can go both ways, right? So, I don't lean into the dumb aspect. But
no, I think you're right. There's a lot of fun to have to stand outside of the shop because it's run by gnomes.
Yeah.
Everyone else can go in and duck and be uncomfortable, but there's no fucking way I'm crawling. I have too much pride for that shit, so I'm gonna stand outside.
Yeah, there is actually a place in Final Fantasy XIV that can only fit Lalafell characters, like the shorter character species. Yeah. No one else can go inside them. So
that's fun.
And I that's so cool. I play a Lalafell, so I'm like, peace out, guys. I run to like my little tiny hovel.
I think that the stereotype that I would embrace would be from the clan and the tribe kind of lore and background that they've traditionally had. Don't give up on the idea that they will have superstitions. They'll believe in omens. They will see, and I do this with, I have an orc character that I'm playing on some Saturdays in another campaign. And orcs are very superstitious because they come from a tribal society, right? And so there's nothing in my character at all. He's a rogue that has anything to do with gods or pantheons or anything. But anytime something weird happens, this is a sign from Shargas. He is telling us now that we must stop and pray for 3.5 minutes. And the rest of them are just like, no, we're not doing that. Go on ahead. I will bolster you with reinforcements in 3.5 minutes. And he gets down and prays. And it's just so much fun to have that flavor. I'm not mocking it by any means. He's taking it seriously. But it is fun to look at a fantastical world through a lens of someone who is just like, oh, that should not be pink. What does that mean? 4 crows on the horizon? This is a sign.
Yesterday there were 3.
Yeah. Turn around and lift up your shirt. I will read your back knee and see what we're doing today.
Yeah. Show me the map to the dry land. That's a deep cut for anybody. I'm excited about that one.
Both Dave and I got that was Waterworld. I think that it's a deep cut for anyone that's not in our immediate demographic.
Correct.
Yeah. Dave, what does a Goliath-only settlement look like in your head?
In my head, we're talking like skin huts.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking like communal fire in the middle. Just a typical...
Nomadic?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
What kind of... do they have livestock or beasts of burden with them?
I would imagine. You can't move all that without them.
Sure.
Right? Because one of the things they talk about is that the Goliaths really do live at a higher altitude. And as the weather changes, as the winter changes, they're going to move. Right? They're
migratory up and down the mountain?
I would imagine. Right? Yeah. They're going to have their camp spots.
Sure.
Right? But they're gonna move as the seasons move.
It would be really cool to join a Goliath clan on their migration to the higher peaks of the mountain because it's that time of year. Or catch them in that motion or move and then find their olds or find their old empty. That'd be a good exploration thing, finding the old empty place and then realizing that they migrated further up.
Mm-hmm. And there are giant goats, and I feel like that's an appropriate beast to have with them. Right?
Giant mountain goats.
Yeah, there are giant goats, and I think they're in Bigby.
Yes.
But There's
many added giant animals in that book.
Yeah. but there was I had a character who was playing a typical Norse character. It's actually based on Thor's grandfather.
Okay.
And he wanted a dire ram to ride. So I gave him that. And a dire ram was a huge sized creature that he would ride into battle. It was a lot of fun. I could see Goliaths taming giant versions of goats and rams and sheep and whatnot.
They don't even have to. They're medium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I still think they would prefer to have them because wrestling one and taming one is the thing that, like...
Yeah, I
Did you follow me on that?
Yeah.
I also feel like they'd be good at falconry. I don't know why, but I just picture falconry.
I feel like it would depend on the type of giant that they are.
Sure, that's true.
Like type of Goliath that has the ancestry of whatever type of giant
Yeah,
they want. Because, like, if I was to build their society, I would probably pick where their ancestry comes from.
Sure, that's
as a
good
crew.
point.
Because then that would depict where they are. Because, like, a mountain, like a fire giant clan would probably be more inside the mountain and more deep in the depths.
Yeah.
Or, like, a frost giant be more at the tip of the mountain at all times because it's always snowing. And that's where they're the most comfortable, right? And then, like, hill Goliaths would just be, you know, the grunts, the ones that take care of the other giant animals and so on and so forth to honor their ancestors.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
To keep those kinds of things going. So
when we look at a multicultural setting, what role do you figure they'd fit in an actual civilized society in a, like, metropolis?
Farmer security kind of thing, right? Like...
Simplistic. I don't see them as politicians. There's no reason they can't be based on the 2024 lore.
They can be anything.
Yeah.
But their size is imposing, intimidating, and useful.
yeah. I would have them be like the town builders. So the ones that build the buildings, carve the wood carvings, forge the metals that, like the bracers and stuff like that. Because they're, again, if you're leaning into the giant history, they're very creative and they're very artsy. Like they would have stone statues that are carved. So all the decor that is in their town that's multicultural will probably have been built by them.
Yeah, and they'd be, like, outsourced to build this statue in this section of the...
so you'd see them wandering around town and like probably living in the town for extended periods, but they're actually just there to help build it, is how I would almost lean into it.
I also really want to point out the fact that they do love a challenge. So I feel like Goliaths would be natural gladiators. If, like, you could have a circus with Goliath strongmen, right, that are consistently trying to one up their records and things, as well. So, like, there's lots of different roles that you could find for a Goliath. Do you have anything in particular that you would do with one as a DM?
No, not really.
No?
No, I don't really run that kind of game.
No, you don't. That's fair.
Right?
Yeah.
Like it's not. I don't do that. We go in, we fight, we leave when I DM. That's not. They would fight a lot of these guys for sure.
They'd be in the army in the battle that I do.
Yeah, but I
10
don't.
minutes.
I don't flesh out in town NPC. That's not my shtick.
Yeah.
You know, you want to go to a shop and buy a thing. We're gonna have an interaction, but it's gonna be the same shopkeeper that we've had for the last 20 years.
Man,
you know,
I would love to have a Goliath flea market as like the ones that have fire ancestry come in with all of their fine metals and weapons, and all the ones that are from like the stone giant ancestry come with all their beautiful carved statues. And then I would lean it. I would love to have a Goliath flea market. I am now here for it, and that is what I'm going to build one day.
every third Saturday at the end of the
It's like the farmer's market.
every second full moon of the year. Yeah.
every fourth 10 day. Yeah.
I love these guys as bodyguards. When my party is too weak, I will toss them one of these guys. You guys were level 4 when you ran into Daystrider.
Yeah.
He was 9th level.
Amazing.
So he was there to just be a tank because you guys were squishy and spending a lot of time dying.
That's just my character.
Dan was face down in the mud, and you two were the only two that survived. Everyone else died, actually. So
You're welcome.
yeah. So Daystrider, it was there to be tanky for you, and he really filled that role really nicely. I missed that guy. He was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm sad you killed him.
The dice chose. The dice chose. I was
Did they? I
unimpressed.
feel like Adam just chose heartbreak that day.
No.
That day? He chooses that every day.
Every fucking day.
You're goddamn right. Do we have any final thoughts about Goliaths? What's the likelihood that you're going to pick one?
As a player,
Yeah.
not probably. I probably won't.
That's because you like to be little.
Yeah, it's just not my jam to play that. But would I want to build a society? Do I want to have a flea market? Would I like them in my games? Absolutely.
You want them as NPCs.
I do.
Yeah, I'll probably look at one for a one-shot at some point. Probably not a long-term thing. But
Yeah, the campaign I'm in right now is going to be 6 sessions. Like, that's kind of how long I would want to play a Goliath for before I move on to something else.
But I would say there's a high chance.
Yeah. I had a lot of fun with Ocello. Ocello was great, and he's still walking around the world somewhere being ridiculous in his dread helm.
What was my character's
chilling
name?
somewhere.
Ozma.
Oh yeah, because we were playing Yzma and Kronk.
That's
yep,
right.
It's all coming back together. Yep. You're right. We did do that.
Yes, we did. Even though we said don't play them as dumb, I leaned the fuck into it and had a blast.
Oh, it was a good time. That was really fun.
All right, so I guess to sum this episode up, there's not a whole lot about Goliaths anymore. What does exist is for the Forgotten Realms or for Greyhawk, right? Other than that, pick and choose what you want from the lore because they're really just anything. As much as we say loincloths, they're all wearing, like, in the art that we have now, like, proper textiles and clothing and, like, that. There's no furs and skins and leathers anymore, right?
No.
I mean, maybe that's leather pants, but for the most part.
They're full covered pants, not just loincloth leather.
Unfortunately, yes.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for listening to this episode on Goliaths. It was a hoot getting to try and get to chat about them together today. So if you liked and enjoyed, please feel engaged with our, online stuff.
check the show notes below for links.
Thanks.
Goliath offline.
Fuck.
That's all for this species episode of the It's a Mimic podcast. This episode and others can also be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and most other podcast apps. Please take a second to engage with a like, follow, subscribe, comment, or review to help push our engagement. Thanks for listening to It's a Mimic, where you never know what you're going to get.
This week on the It's a Mimic podcast, we're still playing catch up from when the computer went down, so we're going to have a couple of episodes for you this week. Obviously, there's this one, and also today, for patrons, we're jumping into the third Fiends episode, which sees Megan and Elwyn go head-to-head again. This time it's going to be Nuparibo versus Dretches. Then tomorrow on the public channels, we've got something a little bit different. It's another one of the Platinum Great Worm episodes where we sat down with Andre, but this time it's not talking about D&D. He wanted to talk about one of his loves and his favorite IPs out there, and that's Star Wars. And if I can be honest, that's not something that I know a hell of a lot about, so I brought in a couple of other hosts to chill out and chat with him about it. I might mean rant. Check it out and listen. I learned some things. Then on Thursday, we sit down to talk about gnolls and how they've changed in the new monster manual. Some changes are for the better, some changes are for the worse. And then on Friday, we support that on the Patreon with a homebrew conversation where we sit down and talk about rampages in Dungeons & Dragons and how we can beef them up and make them more interesting. So we're at the end of a species episode, and that means that we're going to investigate some creatures from previous editions that I think about sometimes when I think about a specific species. Today, I want to talk about something that I think about with Goliaths. One of the unsung heroes of 3.5 was the Monster Manual 3, and I remember flipping through that book a lot when it first came out. And so today, I want to talk about Runehounds. There would have to be a whole lot of adjustment and conversion involved with the mechanics to bring this forward into 5th edition or 5.5, and I'll leave that up to you wonderful players to deal with, but let me describe not only the description and the lore, but the vibe kind of to get you started here. First of all, here's what it says in the Monster Manual. The creature before you looks like a large, hairless wolf. Its pale, slimy skin is covered with bizarre, abstract tattoos. Incidentally, that's what linked me to Goliaths. As it moves forward, you see that it has no head. Instead, a long serpentine neck extends from the middle of its back, terminating in a grotesquely oversized maw, filled with multiple rows of teeth. Though it has no eyes, its mouth unerringly whips around to face you, spewing forth a jet of acidic bile. So this is a medium aberration. They say it's CR3, but reading it, it kind of packs a punch like a CR5 by today's standards. It has the ability to track creatures very, very well. It's got a whole bunch of stealth, and it does have a limited language as well that uses clicks and squeals. That's almost impossible for any, playable species to mimic at all. I mean, I guess a Kenku could, but I don't think anybody else could, right? The idea is that they are kept by other creatures, like the other aberrations, that actually tattoo these runes onto the Runehound itself. But the thing that stands out about them for me, I mean, these tattoos could just be like regular markings. If you want to update the lore on that, that's fine. But the thing that stands out to me is that they're gray-skinned. They're covered in tattoos, and they're out in the wild. And that just means that I think that Goliaths would very thematically like be up against them, kind of, even if like the tattoos are naturally occurring. What they have as far as combat goes is they've got kind of an acid spew as well. It says here 5d8 damage. However, you might want to flavor that to be poison, depending on how you want to homebrew it. It's supposed to be a DC 15 reflex save. So to translate that, that's going to be like a DC 12 or 13 dex save. Because, again, we're dealing with, like, a low-level Tier 2 creature. You might want to bump that up a couple. And there would be, like, that 5d6 is pretty deadly at that level. That might want to be a 3d6. It does have a bite attack, and the spew is, like, its ranged attack. But the bite attack is, it says 2d6 plus 5. I would probably pull that back some at that level. But the really cool thing about it is it has 10-foot reach, and you don't see a lot of that 10-foot reach because of this long serpentine neck coming out of the back and this massive mouth that's like half the size of its body. Like it would like jut out. And I want you to think about this like a large hound, like a Rottweiler, Doberman, something like that, a greyhound, but like big and beefy. Hairless, covered in tattoos, this big serpentine snake-like neck coming out of its back. And then you take the size of like its chest, like barrel-chested like Rottweilers are, and like Dobermans and whatnot, and like you would then make that size, that volume, one big crazy eyeless mouth full of like jagged sharp fangs, and it would be able to like coil out and hit someone 10 feet away. Also, it tracks people not by smell, but by understanding the psychic location of people. So as long as you're thinking, it can hunt you down. But I would say, like, if you're sleeping, you don't. I would be rolling on tables to see if they dream. And if they dream, maybe the Runehound can find them as well. And of course, it would have blind sight. So I thought that was a really cool kind of monster. I think that it would be something that Goliaths would love to hunt or to exterminate as they come across them. Maybe the Runehounds actually hunt the Goliaths as well, through like mountainous regions and whatnot. But something that I thought would be really cool to bring over from a previous edition. So my question to you is, if you had to inject this creature into one of your games, how would you do it? If you'd like to support us, we have a store with some merch and a donate button on our website, itsamimic.com. You can also head to itsamimic.com to find a comprehensive episode guide and more information about the show. We do have a Patreon, which not only offers access to our exclusive Discord server, but also hosts over 100 episodes, including a variety of bonus episodes covering topics like 5th edition book reviews and the campaign builder, spells and gods, fae, homebrew inspiration, and even the Blood War. If you'd like to submit any mailbag questions, please reach out to us through any of the social media links in the show notes of this episode, or send us an email at info@itsamimic.com. This has been an episode of It's a Mimic, where you never know what you're going to get.